Greetings tankers, 007 coming to you with this FCM 50T Buyer's Guide review. So the first and most important question you should ask yourself is, what does FCM stand for? My guess is it is French for freaking colossal medium tank because this thing is huge. It's almost as big as a TOG, and anything even remotely close to the size of a TOG is huge. Anyway, we're going to do a quick review of stats, then we're going to jump in and talk about the pros and cons of this tank, let you know if this is something that might work for you or if you're going to be like, oh no, I hate that tank and I just want to blow it up on the battlefield. Okay, before we start this review though, I've got to clear the air about the French because unlike the Angry Connor, all of their tanks don't drive in reverse. They don't wear berets and scarves and sport silly mustaches, eat baguettes and smoke cigarettes. Remember, there's a lot of cool things that come out of France too, like the FAMAS, the Eiffel Tower, Joan of Arc's cool, and I'm reaching here, Jean-Luc Picard. Okay, let's get into the stats. So let's just cover the high points. It's got 1,400 hit points, which is the most of any medium tank. The armor is really bad. We'll talk about that later. 120 frontal and turret armor and 80 on the side. That's bad. It's the heaviest tier 8 medium in the game. It's 55 tons, which is really heavy, but it's surprisingly overpowered with 1,000 horsepower, which means that you can actually hit 51 kilometers an hour pretty quickly, which is right on line with like the Indian Panzer and the T-44. The track traverse is solid, the thing spins really good, the turret traverse is great, that spins as well. And the gun is awesome. It's got a really high rate of fire. It does about 1900 DPM, and the AP shell can penetrate almost anything you're gonna come up against, which means you don't have to use a lot of pramo. Okay, so besides the stats, let's talk about what actually is good and bad with this tank on the battlefield. So we've got the gun that's good, we've got the mobility, and we've got credits. On the bad side though, we've got armor, we've got the size of the tank, and then we've got credits again, which I'll explain in a second. But let's look at all these aspects a little closer. So on the gun, it's got a solid rate of fire, amazing penetration, quick aim, laser-like accuracy. So these gun attributes together form a lethal combination that's real similar to the low if you've got the low. Your reticule's always really tight, you're ready to shoot at any second. If you're traversing really fast, you're still able to hit your targets really easily. It's a really good gun. The DPM is high, so if you come head to head with another tank, you can really kind of battle it out and shoot a lot faster than they can. If you drop adrenaline there, you can also get a little bit more advantage. Okay, so next we have mobility. The FCM has fast turret and good hull traverse. It's got good overall speed for a medium, generally a nimble tank despite the huge size, and it's got pretty good gun depression. So on the PC, the FCM is actually heavy, but in Blitz, it's a medium, which makes much more sense for the way this thing plays. You actually can get up to speed pretty quickly, and nothing is gonna out-traverse you, because when you turn your turret and your tracks at the same time, you can spin that thing in circles so fast you won't even be able to keep up with it by slapping your finger across the iPad. It's also got solid gun depression. It's not like the STB or the Comet or anything, but it can get your gun down pretty good so you can peek over rises and try to keep that huge body of yours hidden. Okay, and lastly, let's talk about the credit earnings. You can see here it appears to make great credits, which generally speaking it does. But if you drill down a little bit more on this 100k game, you can see I did 2400 damage, which is reasonably high for tier 8, and my take home was 70k there. Now that was a fully loaded tank, and I shot no pramo at all. But if you look at it a little bit closer, if I didn't have a premium account, the take home would have been 36k. Just keep that in mind if you're buying this thing for the credits. That's why I put it on the downside as well. If you don't have a premium account, I don't think it's gonna make you a whole lot of money. Okay, on the bad side, the armor is really, really bad. It suffers from poor frontal and turret armor, and it also has a high chance of module damage because of how thin the armor is. If you look at this armor inspector from PC, it's essentially the same as Blitz. It only has 120 on the front, and even with the tracks on the side, it still only makes it 110 on the side. That means you're playing this tank like a PTA or an RU-251, which are light tanks, where you're trying to run around and hide and just make shots from wherever you can. I won't say it's completely terrible though, because I have had some really crazy bounces. If you angle your front, you can actually get some nice bounces here and there, especially from those smaller tier 7s. But just be aware, if somebody nails you with HE, you're gonna get a lot of crew and module damage. So make sure to run at least a multi-kit, maybe a health kit, and maybe the repair kit. The next bad thing is this tank size. I don't know what the French need all this space for. The thing is just colossal. It comes with a lot of tools though, which I guess is great if you want to double as an RV while you're dodging battle. I mean, look at this. It's got a pickaxe. It's got a sledgehammer. It's got not one but 2 crowbars. And it's got this crazy thing to hold your gun up while you're in transport. Why are you transporting a tank? But seriously, check out this size. I mean, it's gigantic. Here it is lined up next to a Centurion, an IS-3D, a TOG, a 183, and an IS-7. And no, this is not an Animal Kingdom room. So I said I'd make this a quick review, so that's about it. My recommendation would be this: if you want a super fun, expert level tank with incredible gun handling and a medium tank maneuverability, it's probably a great buy for you. If you want a heavy tank, like armored turtle to crawl around on the battlefield, you need to get as far away from this tank as possible because you will be extremely disappointed. Don't buy the FCM expecting to make a ton of cash, because unless you're doling out a ton of damage, you're not going to make a ton of cash, especially if you're running all your provisions, etc. That said, it is the first French tank in the game, which makes it a pretty cool collector's item, especially since we'll probably see French lines coming out in the future. And like the Type 59, it's probably not going to go on sale very often either. Out of all my favorite mediums, I'd say this is in the top 3 right now because it's just a blast to play. You're not going to do very good in runners and rammers, but you'll sure look good chasing everybody around. So guys, that is it. Hopefully this freaking colossal medium tank review is going to help you with your buying decision. I'm going to leave you with a little bit more gameplay footage. See you on the battlefield. See you in Clan Wars. o7o.